Hey everyone, welcome to 99.6 The Howl, episode 4D, 40, the last one of the season. For the uninitiated, this is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes. And let's give a clap to Shane Doan, who most likely played his last NHL game, his last game in Arizona, just an emotional filled game. You have Craig Cunningham dropping the ceremonial puck with an amputated leg. Just he's so happy he's even able to stand and be alive and still take in the spectacle of hockey instead of being 6 feet under to make it dramatic. But it's great to see Cunningham support the team, come out on the ice. Fans really enjoyed it, and everyone around the hockey world really appreciated that gesture by the Coyotes to have him out and drop the puck. Shane Doan, like I said, probably his last game. Just near the end of the game, talking to the refs, hugging Martin Hansel, shaking hands with Eric Stahl, Chris Stewart, Mikko Koivu, Zach Parise, just everyone kind of knowing it's probably his last game in the NHL. It was heart wrenching, and then he gave a speech to the crowd after the game, thanking the fans for showing their support and coming along this rough ride with them. It was such a Shane Doan move. What a captain! I mean, he's done a lot for the for the state of Arizona, the city of Phoenix. Just a great ambassador of the game, always making time for fans, signing autographs all the time. First one to the rink, last one leaving the rink. These are all cliche things I'm saying, but they're really true. He was really in love with the game and really, really appreciative of every moment he had in the NHL. Just it'll be sad to see his smile gone from the team and his enthusiasm missing from the team. But it's a new page. I honestly rather him retire. He didn't produce as well this season as he did last season when he scored 28 goals. I think he had about 6 or 7 goals this season. More games than not, he was a detriment to his line, slowing down his line. So yeah, I know it's hard to say, but that's how I feel. And I really think there's players in the pipeline that he's taking their spots from. So next season, you could see a guy like Christian Fischer and Lawson Krause filling in that role. Don't plays not the leadership role, but that hard forechecking, grinding out behind the net role that Doan brought to the team. Anyways, let's talk about the game. What a boring ass game that was. The Coyotes offense just took a night off, couldn't generate any second chances, one and done, barely broke the 20 shot mark. Perlini scores his 14th other goal, which is which is amazing. This guy wasn't even on the roster to start the season. He comes in December when Duclair gets demoted, and he puts up 14 goals. I mean, Brandon Perlini, just 14 goals for him. No one would have guessed that coming into training camp. Christian Dvorak, oh shit. That's the problem with unedited videos. You never know what's going to come up. So, like I said, Christian Dvorak really stepped up his role when Martin Hansel left at the deadline, and in fact, he done what the most he can do. Hansel leaves, and Christian Dvorak gets that number one center job, and the Coyotes actually do better with Christian Dvorak as a number one center than Martin Hansel, and finish with a better record than Minnesota after that trade was all said and done. So that's very ironic to see. Mike Smith, post game interview, throws his team under the bus for not showing up to the game and not having the emotion they should have had for the multiple storylines going on, which is true. But also, he let in that first goal was all his fault, mishandling the puck behind the net, like you always see. So he's got some blame on that loss, too. So I want to move into why the Arizona Coyotes finished third last in the league, not second last. They finally, from November to beginning of April, were stuck in 29th. But Vancouver slipping, and they finished 1 point under the Coyotes to take second last. So I got two answers for you guys. One of them's a research answer. One of them is a hindsight answer. Start with the research one. We do research here at 99.6 The Howl. It's not just emotions and reactionary outrage. So I'm just going to say a couple things. The top 10 healthy teams in the NHL this season: Washington, Calgary, Columbus, Carolina, Toronto, Minnesota, Chicago, San Jose, St. Louis, and the New York Rangers. What do they all have in common except for Carolina? They're all making the playoffs. All of them. Top 10 injured teams in 2017: Vancouver, Winnipeg, Dallas, Edmonton. Now, Edmonton lost Davidson for most of the season, and then a couple fourth liners were out for the whole season. So, I mean, McDavid, Draisaitl, Maroon, Lucic, Talbot didn't get injured. So they were still able to keep afloat. Detroit, Pittsburgh, which is such a phenomenon. Mike Sullivan's doing an amazing job in Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay, obviously, LA, Buffalo, Arizona, Ottawa, Florida. All those teams missing the playoffs except for Edmonton, Pittsburgh, and Ottawa. I don't know how Pittsburgh does it. So, I mean, talk about these teams and the players they missed. Tampa Bay losing Stamkos, losing Tyler Johnson, Kucherov. Uh, I'm drawing a blank on the names, but they're missing their top three number one centers for most of the season, and that's the number one reason why they didn't make the playoffs. They finished with more wins than Toronto. They should have been taking a playoff spot for sure if they were healthy. Toronto, very fortunate not to get barely any injuries this year. Full healthy lineup, game in and game out. That's the number one reason why they're in the playoffs. You look at Arizona, losing Domi for 3 months, losing Smith for 2 months, losing Burmistrov for a month and a half, losing Richardson for 6 months. Those are centermen. Those are your number one forward, your number one goalie, losing them for extended periods of time. So that puts a lot of pressure on the young players, which they shouldn't even have any pressure to begin with because they're rookies. So you're putting in these rookies, you're injecting rookies into your lineup already. That's pressure enough. And then you're saying, hey, we got to rely on you guys because the players that were supposed to be carrying this team are going to be missing months of action. So that put a lot of stress on the young players for the Coyotes, and they couldn't finish the job. The other reason was the gamble in September when John Shaika bought out Antoine Vermette. At the time, everyone was like, yeah, we don't need Vermette. We got Dvorak, we got Strome, Richardson, Martina could play center. Ryan White could play center. We got a 5 centerman. Of course, there's no room for Vermette. Let's buy him out. Sure. That's what they should have done. But in hindsight, Richardson goes down. Strome was not ready. Dvorak wasn't ready until halfway through the season. So that's 3 to 4 centermen out, and you're left with basically Martinook as your starting center from October. They have to pick up waiver centerman, Burmistrov, Holland, and Juris. Burmistrov really worked out, which I think he's going to come back to the team next season. He's probably going to be at training camp. But Holland, Juris didn't really work out. Holland, a couple games, he was good, but wasn't consistent enough. So there's your center position needs to be deep and needs to be relied upon. And fortunately, too many things went wrong where they were just depleted and couldn't couldn't pick up wins. So many one-goal games the Coyotes could have won, could have pushed to overtime, and they couldn't. So that's reason number two. But I know it's all doom and gloom for this season. The arena situation puts even more gloom on the season. But honestly, I feel next season is going to be a good one. I look at the trajectory of the Arizona Coyotes, like Columbus. Columbus never won first overall. Picked up a lot of good prospects. Last season they didn't even make the playoffs. They had a disappointing season, underachieved, had to fire their coach. That sounds very familiar to Arizona. You're likely to see Arizona change their coaching staff in the offseason and fix their penalty kill, fix their power play. I mean, there are a lot of chances for Tippett to be fired during the season, but Chayka decided to stick with them. It seemed like Tippett won back the locker room and players are playing under his system very effectively, but I think they really need a coaching change. Tippett's one of the longest tenured coaches in the NHL next to Quinville and Paul Maurice and a lot of these great coaches that have been in the playoffs and had success, but except for Tippett, and I think it's time to turn the page. He's still got that vice president role, so still be in the front office. But coaching wise, I think Arizona needs to go out, find themselves a good coach, and who's good with young players and with all that, with the first season experience under Perlini's belt, under Dvorak's belt, Chikrin, D'Angelo, Kraus, and then you inject Strome and Keller and possibly new free agents. Hopefully Vegas takes McGinn off our hands, who was disappointing throughout the whole season. He really didn't do his job, what he was brought in to do in Arizona. So hopefully Vegas takes him. Or they might take Goligoski, which I'd be fine with. There's a lot of defense in the Arizona pipeline. Goligoski had some gaffes some games, but if he goes, I think we're okay. And if he stays, I think we're okay as well. So you could expect coaching changes, expect these rookies getting stronger, expect new faces coming in, and expect a trade or two from Shaika to make this team very competitive next season, push for a playoffs, not have the great success season that Columbus has had, but maybe a team like Toronto or Ottawa where they push into the playoffs and for the first time since 2012. So that's it for the last video. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos, sticking with me throughout the season, the downs and the ups. I'll put my social media in description if you want to follow me. I don't post much, but maybe I will. I might do videos in the summer regarding the draft lottery, regarding the actual draft, free agency day, and any arena situations. Hopefully, we don't hear that R word during the summer. That'll be very sad if I see that headline when I wake up one day. But thank you for watching these videos. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you guys next season.